actually. I'm going to exchange this. Ooh, that was loud. I'd like to call the meeting of the Jefferson Elementary School Board to order at 7:02 p.m. Ms. Covray, can I get roll call, please?
Here.
Here.
Here. All right, and now we will move to item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Valenti, can you lead us in the pledge, please? Thank you, Mr. Valenti. All right, and we will move to item number 4, approval of the agenda. The administration recommends approval of the agenda.
Yes, we have one correction on the agenda for item 7 in the consent agenda, item 7DA. There was an error, and we want to correct it for before approval. Under Jamie No, it says payroll tech. It should actually read senior department account assistant, DO range A38, and the rest remains the same.
Excellent. Are there any other?
Motion to approve with that amendment?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, and we move on to item 5A, public hearing for the 2025-2026 AFT Local 3267 renewal contract proposal Sunshine. A public hearing will be held to receive public input on the renewal contract proposal of AFT Local number 3267 for 25-26. AFT is proposing to open negotiations on Article 2, wages, Article 3, hours of employment, Article 6, health and welfare, Article 10, class size, and Article 11, evaluation. Ms. Covray, do we have any speaker cards on that one? Thank you. So we open and close our public hearing at 7:04 p.m. All right, we move on to item 5B, public hearing for 2025-2026 JESD counter proposal to AFT Local 3267 renewal contract proposal Sunshine. A public hearing will be held to receive public input on the renewal contract counter proposal for JESD for 2025-2026. JESD is proposing to open negotiations on Article 2, wages, Article 3, hours of employment, Article 6, health and welfare, Article 9, safety, and Article 10, class size. Ms. Covray, speaker cards. All right, we open and close public hearing at 7:05 p.m. All right, item 5C, public hearing for 2025-2028 CSEA Chapter 233 successor contract proposal Sunshine. A public hearing will be held to receive public input on the successor contract proposal of CSEA Chapter 233 for 2025-28. CSEA is proposing to open negotiations on Article 5, wages, Article 6, health and welfare benefits, Article 7, holidays, Article 11, leaves of absence, Article 15, vacation, Article 16, evaluation, Article 7, miscellaneous provisions. Ms. Covray, thank you very much. We open and close public comment at 7:06 p.m. And 5D, public hearing for 2025-2028 JESD counterproposal to CSEA Chapter 233 successor contract proposal Sunshine. A public hearing will be held to receive public input on JESD's counterproposal to CSEA 233 or Chapter 233 successor contract proposal for 2025-2028. JESD is proposing to open negotiations on Article 5, wages, Article 6, health and welfare benefits, Article 7, holidays, Article 8, hours and conditions of employment, Article 11, leaves of absence, Article 15, vacation, and Article 16, evaluation. We open and close public comment at 7:06 p.m. All right, with that, we move on to item 6A, board member acknowledgements and commendations. And I think I'll start on my right today.
I know we have a lot on the docket this evening, so I'll keep my remarks brief. But I just want to say that I was really encouraged by the first meeting that we had of the budget, and long-term planning committee last week, and it was just wonderful to see so many people who care about our district in the room, working on these issues, learning and engaged. So I want to thank all of the parents, the teachers, the administrative staff, and other staff who came last week and who volunteered for the committee, and look forward to being a part of it as the board representative. And just finally want to thank all of the schools for organizing back to school nights. I want to thank everybody for being patient with power outages and other issues. And I know we have some coming up tomorrow, and some have already taken place that have been very successful. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm sure Trustee Rochbar already acknowledged all the people that came out to discuss the budget and our future plans, and we're happy that we had such a big turnout of people that are interested in getting ahead of any type of challenges that we have ahead of us financially, and to give input and make sure that we make make decisions that are based on what's in the best interest of our students, and also takes into account how our staff and community feels. So thank you.
I echo my fellow board trustee sentiments and have nothing further to add. With that, we will move on to item 6B, superintendent comments. Superintendent McCulloch.
Yes, I do have quite a few comments, so bear with me. I also want to acknowledge our Superintendent Advisory Committee members. We have 36 members joining us, and 30 of them were able to attend. So that was a big turnout, which was fantastic. And they were given a little bit of homework recently, and so we meet again on October 1st, so we're looking forward to that. As Trustee Rochba mentioned, back to school night occurred last Thursday and some before school started. However, several of our sites were affected by a power outage. And so just to announce that the schools that were impacted, they're rescheduling them for next week. So MP Brown will be on Tuesday, September 16th, and Marjorie H. Tobias and Thomas Edison will be on Wednesday, September 17th. And then tomorrow is all of our middle schools. They will be happening Thursday evening between 5:30 and 7. So please check with your school site for those. I also want to remind everyone that September is Attendance Awareness Month, but we always want to be paying attention to our attendance. Attendance is more important than ever. JESD, our district, is funded based on enrollment and attendance, so regular attendance not only builds strong habits for students, but it ensures our district receives the funding we need to provide a high-quality education for every student. Also, lots to celebrate. Starting on September 15th through October 15th is Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month, so we'll be celebrating that. And then next Tuesday is National IT Professionals Day, so we want to remind and thank all of our information technology professionals for all of the work they do. And then September is also National Preparedness Month, and so our county has what's called the Big Five, and it's a way to prepare for emergency situations. So we want to remind families to also prepare for emergencies at home, fires, earthquakes, et cetera, so make sure you have all the tools you need to prepare for any emergencies that happen. We are an earthquake country, so just always be prepared. And that's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Superintendent McCulloch. All right, item 6C, persons wishing to address the board. Ms. Covray, do we have any 6C comments? Thank you. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. All right, and we'll close that at 7:11. Sounds delicious. All right, consent agenda. Item 7, consent agenda. The administration recommends approval for the following consent agenda items. Are there any items to remove? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion. All right, I motion to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, this is a roll call vote. Ms. Covray?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, and we move on to the very back, yes. All right, and we move on to item 8, board governance matters A, interview protocol and selection of questions for board member candidates. We have notes for this. All right, we are here tonight to interview 4 candidates for a provisional appointment to the Jefferson Elementary School District Board of Trustees. All candidates have met the eligibility requirements as specified in Education Code, which have been reviewed and verified by staff. Each board member will get to ask the candidate up to 2 questions. That means you do not have to ask both. Each candidate will answer the question within a 2-minute limit. The candidates will take turns in a rotating fashion answering the question first. Prior to the first question, I will select the name of the candidate who will answer it first, second, third, and fourth, and they should take a seat in that order. When we are ready to proceed, I will call forward our candidates to sit in the front row. Board members may ask questions pertaining to the role of a school board trustee to assist the board in selecting its appointee. A set of potential questions is available for board members to consider. Board members may select a question as is, modify any of these questions, or pose their own. All right, I open it to discussion of questions that we are going to be asking. Yes. If you open your packet, it is this sheet.
I just had a question about the order
Oh, right here.
of answering questions. From what you said, I may be misinterpreting this, but it sounded like order would be randomly drawn for every question.
Not for every question, so that I can specify that. So my first, I'm going to draw from here. They're going to take a seat in that order. They will do an opening statement, and then we'll do the questions, alternating who goes first. Since there are 4 of us, should be pretty even to get to everyone who can go first at least once. So it's not always on that first person to go first every time. Any
Okay,
further?
thank you for clarifying. So
No
it is keeping the same order, but alternating who starts first. Okay,
That is
thank you,
correct.
thank you.
Yeah, great question. Any other questions? All right, so do we want to discuss which questions that we are asking? So I have selected a question that is not on there. I'm going to be asking a question about the time commitment that it needs to be a board member. And that is my only question I need to ask at this point.
Do we need to decide together on which questions will be asked? Or my understanding going in was that it would be 2 questions per board member? So I am wondering if we need to decide in advance which will be asked.
So I guess it's up to us. I think my thought process for this was to make sure that we aren't asking the same question, or someone, like if 3 of us all wanted to ask a similar question, then we don't have to repeat the same question 3 times.
I would say that my thought process is if I hear you ask that question, then I just won't ask it.
That's a good thought process as well. All right, sounds good. So then, if that is decided, is this a motion? I don't think we need a motion for this one.
And I do just want to clarify that each candidate does answer
All of
all
them.
questions.
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah, good question. All right, if there is no more discussion, then are we okay to move to item 8B? All right, we move on to item 8B, interviews of the candidates for Jefferson Elementary School Board of Trustees vacancy. If the board is ready to proceed, which I think we are, we will call forward our candidates to take their seats in the front row in the order I call them. I will now select the names of the candidates and the order in which they will begin answering questions. Wow, these are really well folded. James Yen. Right there, actually, I think. Yes. All right. Next is Eileen Policarpio. Next is Raimundo Burciaga. Next is Dana Johnson. All right, we will start with the first candidate. You have 1 minute to share your opening statement, and then after everyone reads their opening statement, we will start with our first question. So, Mr. Yen, you have 1 minute for your opening question, and just to make sure everyone knows, I will stop you right at 1 minute and at whatever time we have, because I want to be fair to all of the candidates to be given the same amount of time. So I will stop you right when that timer stops. Thank you very much. You may proceed. Yes, yes, so like this. Green is on.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is James Yen. I'm here. I'll share a little bit about myself. I am primarily a CPA first. I've been probably about 20 years of corporate experience. I would say very heavily involvement in the organization I've been in. Diversity and equity, ERGs have been a big part of my experience in corporate America. Nonprofit experience. I've been involved in different nonprofits here in the Bay, about 3 years in Alameda, organization called Calico Center, helping underprivileged kids, and the last 2 years as, I guess, president of PTO of Tom and Edison here as formal nonprofit experience. Have a history of volunteering, notably Big Brothers and Big Sisters of the Bay Area, also in Oakland, about 5 years mentoring young kids in the capacity of a volunteer. Generally focused on children. That's probably been one of my themes throughout, where I decide to give time. And then lastly, as part of the community, I've been here in Daly City.
All right, your time is up. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak with you all today. My name is Eileen Policarpio, and I am interested in serving as a provisional trustee for personal and purposeful commitments. My daughters are just beginning their school journeys. They're in TK and kindergarten, and so I am here for a very long time. My husband is also a proud graduate of Thomas Edison and Fernando Rivera, and we're excited to be able to say the same for our kids. I care deeply about their education. I'm invested in the quality of the experience, not just for them, but for all the kids in our community. For me personally, love for learning starts early when they're this small, and it's grown and nourished through schools that are safe, welcoming, engaging. My professional background is in public relations, so I can bring skills of communication, collaboration, and trust building to make meaningful contributions to our community and to this district's mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Raimundo.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Raimundo Burciaga. I've lived in Daly City off and on for the last 25 years, the last 9 being consecutive. I'm a father, a husband, and a union sheet metal worker. A little background about myself. My mother spent her childhood as a migrant farm worker, and she believed education was a way out of poverty for her and her siblings, and it's a belief she instilled in me and my sister. So we have a great appreciation for public education department. My son is a student at George Washington Elementary. He's in the SDC program. As a parent of a student with an IEP, I have come to learn and appreciate the many educational needs of our diverse community. My wife and I are active members of the Parent-Teacher Association. We help to plan and coordinate events at the school. And when I look at Daly City, I see a vibrant, diverse community, and it would be an honor and privilege for me to give back to the city by serving on this board.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to interview. My name is Dana Johnson. I identify with they and he pronouns. I want to first start by saying I'm a proud product and a proud graduate of public school education. Had a support from teachers and staff that believed in me and provided wraparound services to help me excel and become a graduate of public education, as well as succeed in going to college and graduate with a bachelor's degree and a master's. Currently, I hold the role as serve as an LGBTQIA plus commissioner for the county. In my day job, I work for a nonprofit as a director of a family shelter. Previously, before that, I worked with Just and Impact Youth in the juvenile justice system. Giving back for me has always been what I've done. I'm an advocate. I'm a community leader. I've always worked with youth, and I like to continue to do that and excel our future and our scholars.
Excellent, thank you all. All right, we will now begin with our first question. So you will answer the question, you will answer the first question, the order that they have been called out, and we'll have the opportunity to be the first to answer the second question. So I already explained that before. That's what I explained. So we're going to start with Mr. Yen. Then next question, we will start with Ms. Policarpio, and then so on and so forth for each question we ask. I don't think we discussed an order of which we were going to ask questions. All right, well then, since I started on my right this last time, is it all right if I start on my left with the first question? Trustee Ali?
Thank you. I'll go ahead and start off with number one. It says, tell us about yourself and your personal motivation for seeking a position on the school board. We already heard a little bit about you, so I'd like to hear more about your motivation.
All right, Mr. Yen, you will have 2 minutes to answer that question.
So my motivation for joining the board really centered around how I care about setting up children for success. You know, when I think about my own children, I hear many people have kids in the system. I also have one in the system, two coming in. So I'm personally invested because I'll hopefully be here for the next 10 to 15 years, right? So I do believe all children have a shot. You should get a shot at a great education, and it should not matter what neighborhood you live in. So this is probably my belief. I would say, coming from a different environment from Daly City, but also, acknowledging education has been the key to my success. I want to make sure I lift as I climb, So that's my personal motivation. And then in terms of, what I hope to bring to the table that hopefully makes a good match is more around my values and my motivation is to bring things that I care about back into the community, So focus on excellence, that's probably one of the goals that we have. And throughout my life, I look for organizations and people who have that same commitment, striving for excellence, a teamwork, look for, the community engagement. I look at team-based success as the key criteria, not individual success, for how we all move forward. Leadership, my definition is based on the need at hand, what do I do to move all of us to a better place? It's been, probably a cornerstone of how I kind of think about things and how I view leadership, in almost all my actions. And then lastly, integrity. I would say if you don't have that, you don't have much of anything. Doing the right thing is always the last question I ask. So it lines up with, hopefully the values that I bring to the table, and hopefully it will be a good match.
Thank you, Mr. Yan. Ms. Policarpio, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Like I mentioned, like James, I have two very young children. Driving force for me being interested in this, I was here last week, so 2 times in this building in a week. So if that doesn't show anything about my interest and commitment and what's going on with my children and in their lives, I don't know what does. Why this matters to me so much, we live in scary times. It's a weird world out there. I'm raising 2 little girls, and it's important for them to be able to have that kind of education where they know that they are in a safe place to be themselves, to speak up, and to learn the values that will help them move forward in the world. A lot of things, I'm a public school kid too, and there are many things that I didn't learn growing up that I got into the real world and said, oh man, I wish I would have known this a little bit better, to be better prepared coming in. And so being able to help shape the curriculum and understand that these types of values, these types of habits form at a very young age is really important to me. Background, personally, I just started. I joined the PTO at Thomas Edison, filling some big shoes with James over here, but I'm the secretary over there. I'm a co-leader with a new Daly City Girl Scout troop that just started last year. We are already doing community events with Mountain Mikes, with Raising Cane's, with a lot of the local community, the Colma Fun Run. And so weaving in the community along with education for these children, I think is really important. I mentioned my husband is a graduate of the Jefferson Elementary School District, and we just really want to give back. We just live up the street, and these are the kinds of things that matter to me and the types of ways that they are educated. And for me, a lot of people have things to say, but if you're not in a position to do something about it and take the time and make the effort to really show up for what you believe in, nothing's going to get done. So I'm showing up for what I believe in.
Thank you, Ms. Policarpio. Mr. Burciaga, 2 minutes.
I'd say my motivation is my son, him having an IEP. My motivation is maybe being an advocate for those that can't speak for themselves, those that have been overlooked in the community. Just my own experiences with school and being sometimes being overlooked and kind of falling to the wayside, getting into trouble. I think community involvement and school, people looking out for the kids. My motivation is the community. I see a beautiful city here, and I see these young kids that participate in the SYRP programs that my son attends, Parks and Rec. I see them, and it motivates me to give back to this community. So the community is my motivation to give back to them.
So thank you, Mr. Burciaga. Mix Johnson. For clarification before we start, I'm using the term mix, which is gender fluid for anyone who does not know that.
Thank you for the explanation. I eased into this because I felt like it was too loud last time. What motivates me? I'm going to actually share a little bit of a story, but it's my story. As I shared, I grew up as a public school education system. I grew up receiving free breakfast and lunch meals. A little nervous seeing other of my peers not going through and getting that same thing, and I had some obstacles, and I had some challenges in school. One of those challenges was I was hooked on phonics, and for those that may not know that, I could not say anything CH for nothing that I could do in the second grade. So cheese, chew, checkers, none of that I was able to do, and because of that, I was held back in second grade. It crushed me, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to excel in school at that age in second grade. And I had amazing teachers and staff that believed in me and told me I could excel. Wraparound support that came from my speech therapist, that came from my teacher, that came from admin, that came from coaches, that came from all education leaders that said, you can do this. And I did, and I was able to go on to the next grade. Continued with that and still had some educational challenges and was unable to read at the correct way and unable to read as my peers when I got to fourth grade. And I'll never forget that there was a teacher at that elementary school named Mrs. Green. Mrs. Green believed in me. Mrs. Green told me that I can do this. Mrs. Green helped me when I just would act out and said that I can see more into you. And here I stand, as I shared, as a master level type of individual. So I bring that back to why do I want to do this? I want to work with a district. I want to work with board members that also feel that.
All right, and then we will move on to our second question, which will be Trustee Jordan.
What do you see as the primary responsibility and role of a board member?
That's me, right? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Primary responsibility is governance, making sure that we are accountable, making sure that what we say is what we do, making sure that we have an understanding of all of the commitments, of all of everything that happens in these meetings, and not to run the day-to-day, that's Ms. McCulloch's job over here, but to make sure that we are representing our community, that we are speaking up for the voices that can't be in the room or not always in the room. But yeah, for me, that's what it is. It's governance, making sure that we do what we say that we do, we say what we do, and that we are being truthful to ourselves, truthful to our budget, and transparent in the things that we do. Again, with my background in public relations and communications, I believe in transparency, but also in discretion, and so also having an understanding of knowing the difference between the two and why that's important.
Thank you very much. Mr. Burciaga, 2 minutes.
The primary responsibility of the board member would be to upholding the agreed upon goals of the board and being fiscally responsible to the voters.
Thank you very much. Mix Johnson, 2 minutes.
Thank you. The responsibility of the school board members is to be oversight for the district, support and oversight to the superintendent, working on setting the direction for the district for the superintendent so that the superintendent can complete day-to-day operations, working with other board colleagues, then the superintendent to continue to get to district goals and get to district measures, and ensuring the community is aware of the amazing work that we are doing as a collective body for the students.
Thank you. Mr. Yan, 2 minutes.
I believe the role of the board is to make sure that the operating committee, superintendent and her team, are able to provide a strong operating, plan and be able to execute accordingly. And the role is to ultimately support it by establishing policies, by reviewing things to make sure the guardrails are there, to make sure that we are balancing and revising our policies that just don't make sense. Strategy, I think of it as defining what we do and what we don't do, right? Every year you come up with a plan, you want to achieve certain goals, what's realistic, what's not, and I think a lot of it is how you set the agenda through strategy. And then lastly, around governance, a lot of it is just managing what they're doing, what they're not doing, and then somewhere along the lines, be able to enforce, whatever the charter is, and making sure it holds true to how we said we want to operate. So, and then I think I'll add the last one that I just heard. Really, it's also about community outreach. This is probably one that, just listening to the other candidates, it's clear that we have a responsibility on the board to reach out to the community because we represent the community. So, in order to do that well, you have to go out there and not just share, but also listen. So.
Thank you. All right. Another question, Mr. Trustee Rashba.
Okay, I would like to ask, what are your insights into the current challenges facing our school district, and how would you propose to address them as a board member?
All right, Mr. Berciaga, 2 minutes.
I think some of the current challenges are chronic absenteeism, low test scores, and disciplinary actions, I believe, particularly amongst Black and Latino students and SDC students. I think increased family involvement and community outreach is going to be key to overcoming these challenges.
Thank you. Mix Johnson, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I think it's the attendance rate, enrollment rate. I think also just trying to continue to meet the LCAP goals and the measures that is upon you. And I think while we're looking at what needs improvement, it's about the how as a board we can work together to get to that solution and to see that that improvement is something that you can more so learn from. So I would be ready to see how I can help fellow board members on improving the district and not so much looking at why is it happening and why is it the way it is.
Thank you. Mr. Jan, 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is, certainly the LCAP. Reviewing the baseline results. I think it's 111 pages. I actually glanced through most of it and realized, the starting point, year 1, 2, and 3, ultimately being year 3 as, the ultimate, destination where we want to arrive. The biggest challenge is to how to meet that year over year, knowing that in certain years and certain goals we don't meet that. So that's probably the biggest challenge. And then the thing on top of that is understanding 2 weeks ago that essentially the budgets in the next couple of years are expected to drop at least 10%. So in addition to the bridging the gap in terms of what we want to do to arrive at that 3-year plan, it is also understanding what choices you make to pick and choose what's going to have the biggest impact with the upcoming cuts, coming within our fiscal budget. So.
Thank you. Ms. Policarpio, 2 minutes.
I think there's four big things. I think in the short term, attendance, getting the kids to school and enrolled in school. I think second might be equity. My daughter that was in TK last year didn't have TK, so she was at a different school, and I can just see within those 2 years the difference in the opportunities that were given or provided at one school versus her current school. They're just down the street from each other, and so there is a clear some sort of inequity in just the maybe programs or something available between the two schools. So want to be able to address that, having seen that firsthand. I think community involvement, just seeing, how maybe sparse certain things can be, even in just previous school, how hard it was to try and get parents onto a PTA, how hard I'm working now to get parents to join a PTO. And, I think a lot of that is just you don't know what you don't know. And so there's a lot of opportunity for communication and education to kind of uptick the participation within our community, even as parents and staff. And then lastly, long-term, as a lot of mentioned, is the budget. Thankfully, that's not a short-term challenge that we have to address, but it is long-term. And of course, very important because it will affect everything that I just mentioned as our short-term as well.
Thank you. All right, any other trustees have any second questions that they would like to ask? Okay, I'll ask mine then. All right, question 4, candidates. Being a school board member is a large time commitment. Can you describe how you'll manage your current personal and professional obligations to ensure you have adequate time to effectively serve? All right, Ms. Johnson, 4 minutes, or sorry, 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. First, making sure work-life balance, that I am keeping that in mind. Making sure that I set great organizational calendar and goals to make sure that I am, one, taking care of my self-care, but then I'm also able to continue to get fuel in and support my fellow board members as well as the district. I think I would also try to make sure, besides attending the meetings, I would try to make sure that I'm organizing on how I can try to attend committee meetings, as well as trying to make sure I am attending school events so that the teachers, the staff, the students can see that there is representation there from the board that's going to support them. And I think that just making sure I calendar that, again, working with my work-to-life balance and making sure that I'm setting a good, healthy, more so, educational, I call it educational diet for myself, that I would be able to go ahead and establish all that.
Thank you. Mr. Yan, 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would say on the personal side, I was planning on something to the effect of, 4 to 8 hours per week, during the 9 to 5 hours. After 5, I think after my kids are put to bed, I'll actually just work to what's needed to get the things done. I'm someone who, goes all in, right? If there's something there, I don't sleep, right? If it's important enough to put time in, it's important to do it right. So that's my personal side. Certainly, boundaries will be probably more around my kids and then some of their needs, especially on the weekends. On the professional side, I have a hybrid work schedule. Generally, I go in once a week in the office, generally on Wednesday, actually. I'm an executive, so I have actually a lot of flexibility and have like 40 or 50 people reporting to me. So I can definitely be very flexible, coming from the professional side of my requirements and my duties.
Thank you. Ms. Policarpio, 2 minutes.
For me, it's really about balance. I am meticulous with multiple calendars that I have on my phone, and so they're color-coded, so it'll be easy to see where I need to go, where I need to be. And primarily, if you care and you make the time. If we can scroll on our phone for 5-10 minutes before bed, the commitment, you plan for it, you're ready for it, and you prepare for it, you can make any of that matter into your schedule. Professionally, also hybrid with my work schedule, but I do time block on my calendars. My job understands that I am also a mom, I'm a member of this community, and I am able to balance my energy, my time, my passions, and my care appropriately. It's one of the things that I hope that my kids will see, that everyone will see. It's really, if it matters, you make the time no matter what it is, and this really matters to me, and so I will make the time as I do with everything else that I love in life.
Thank you. Mr. Berciaga, 2 minutes.
First of all, I want to say say being a parent for me is a full-time job and work is sort of part-time. So you learn to balance your time that way. But at work, I manage a lot of projects at once. I'm very good at time management. I mean, that's the main part of my job is managing people hours, managing my hours to stay within a budget. So, I mean, I'm very, very effective with my time. I also have a chronic illness that I have to eat and do certain things at a certain time and take medications. So, like, my life is just, you know, constantly on schedule, on schedule, on schedule. And it actually allows me to have quite a few hours free every day because everything is so dictated by what I do. And I'm up early and I go to sleep late, so even on the weekends.
Thank you. All right, I guess we'll go back in order. Trustee Ellie, do you have a second question?
Question number 3. What specific strengths, knowledge, and/or experiences do you possess that would directly contribute to the effectiveness of our school board and support the district's LCAP goals? And I want to add in there not just the effectiveness, but strengthens our team.
So I'll go to what I believe are some of the strengths within the current board, and also JESD. I feel like the leadership is actually in place. Looking at the LCAP, I actually saw is thoughtfully kind of designed in terms of goals. I think the diversity of the staff and students, it's here in this community. I think the challenges, which hopefully I'll bring more to support, are really around the financial viability. I think in the coming years. I think the multidisciplinary approach to helping our students, right? Whether it's the safety element we heard, whether it's food, it's other support, in addition to supporting our teachers. So just having a different, mindset of how we support JESD in the broader community. And then lastly, I'll say that the key strength I think I bring to the table is a focus on OKRs. Think about Silicon Valley and how it's grown. It's using that as a measurement tool. I looked at the LCAP, and I think it has a lot of the same components. So I think one of the things I would like to do is add some things I've learned through the years, working in high-performance organizations, and see if I can add and augment to our existing plan to help it become more effective. So.
Thank you. Ms. Policarpio, 2 minutes.
Yeah, what I think I can bring is I, again, was said many times, work in PR and comms, and so love being out, talking with people, making relationships with people, building trust among the community, which I don't think is a challenge right now, but I think it may be just something that people aren't feeling comfortable yet with. A lot of the things that I've been tasked with in my professional life has been community building within our teams, team building. A lot of times in companies where we've done mergers and acquisitions and you have teams who aren't familiar with each other or with the business, and how can we develop relationships to be able to do better for the organization as a whole. So if anybody here is a little bit shy, which doesn't seem like, throw me in, I will be fine. Happy to talk to our community. Again, I feel like I'm a representative. I'm a young working mom that's just trying to make it work in a community that I feel is home to me and feels like home to me, feels like home to my mom, feels like home to my kids. And so I think that's what I can bring to, not to say that that's not here already, but everything is already very strong. There's other things that I can do, but I think my greatest strength will likely be on the community building side and really getting people to feel comfortable and safe and involved. And I've also learned that, sometimes people are just scared to ask hard questions. But if you give them an opening and inviting environment to be able to do so and to be able to speak up about how they genuinely feel, you'll find that there are a lot more voices that are willing to share. And I think that's what we need if we really want to be able to get the voice of the community.
Thank you, Ms. Policarpio. Mr. Burciaga, 2 minutes.
I think I can bring, be out in the community, asking questions, asking parents what they need from us, and delivering, not coming from a place of judgment, relating to people and understanding their needs as a parent myself. and as a parent with student with the IEP, making people feel comfortable with us and just really being one of the people and being out in the community.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, 2 minutes.
Thank you. So my strengths is that I already have a knowledge of governance. I have knowledge of Robert Rules of Order. I have knowledge of the Browns Act. I've attended already 2 CSBA conferences. Just out of my passion and my, again, advocacy of wanting to learn, learning things of how to read and decipher through a board packet, learning the importance of how you can advocate for your students. I also bring the strength of, I've worked in spaces working with at-risk youth to where there's innovative ways that I can bring various different wraparound services and programming for them. I think the strength also is that I have knowledge of how to work on boards and how to continue to work with others so that we can do the very best justice, and that's putting our students first and helping with our district and helping with the superintendent. So I already understand how to try to connect with others to see what is the best tool that we can use. Looking at your board and saying what personal, I think, strengths I would be able to bring, I think just bringing those things and being that light to say, okay, well, let's go into this discussion, or let's see how we can better do this decision so that we can continue to put our students first and help our students.
Thank you. Mr. Yan, 2 minutes. Sure, we'll have them repeat it.
What specific strengths, knowledge, and/or experiences do you possess that would directly contribute to the effectiveness of our school board and support the district's LCAP goals? And like I said, also not just
Oops, sorry. I miscounted. Thank you. All right, next question.
What is your stance on diversity, equity, and inclusion in our schools?
To have it be present and visible, I will have a little anecdote that I actually didn't, I was really surprised about. It happened at Girl Scouts over the summer. We had a little girl tell another little girl, "You can't be friends with us because you're not of our racial background." And 5 years old, and I was floored, mind you, floored, five-year-old girls. And so I was the chosen leader to go and have that conversation with both groups of the 5-year-olds, the one that was hurt by the statement and the one who made the statement. So if you think that they're too young to know what this means and what this feels like, they're not. So I don't know what the stance is right now in the schools. I am very new to what the schools look like. I'm very new to the community with my kids just being so young. But I know that it's already evident, and it floored me. And so I'm going to cry because it was really very an emotional thing between all of the parents and all of the kids in that situation. And so, yeah, my stance on that is how do we eradicate that? How do you start at the youngest of ages of kids in school life, and where did it even come from at that age? I asked my own daughter, and she had no idea what she was. And, how do we not have that stance? I do want her to know who she is and what her background is, but also that many other people are of different backgrounds, and we're in a very diverse community, and it's really about, it's never too early. So how are we doing that appropriately, and that's age appropriate, and that curriculum doesn't just brush over it, because something's super important, and it was just a very humbling and shocking moment.
Thank you, Ms. Policarpio. Mr. Burciaga, 2 minutes.
I'm a strong advocate for DEI, Latino person of color. I've experienced discrimination, I feel, probably my whole life. A bit of a touchy subject, yeah, but as far as inclusion goes, I've had a fear of my son. He's autistic. I've had a fear, my main fear when he was going to school was that he was never going to have friends or never be included in things, which hasn't been the case at all at George Washington. It's been actually the opposite of that. He's really grown and blossomed. And just seeing that, I mean, it's been beautiful. But yeah, I'm a strong advocate for DEI. I mean, it's necessary.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, 2 minutes.
I'm very connected with DEI. I'm actually a DEI advocate specialist. I even wrote a book to really highlight the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion, but then also bringing in belonging. And I think DEIB is really where I'm connected with. I want to first talk about things that you all are doing that I see for the district, for these students, and that's the commitment to ethnic studies. As an elementary school district providing ethnic studies support and curriculum, if that's not a connection with DEI, what is it? I think that is amazing. I think for them to learn this at an elementary level is ecstatic, and I actually commend you for that. Also continuing with DEI, we say DEI, but are we providing equitable support? Are we helping students that may have barriers and addressing those? And so that's the lens that I would always be coming with when I'm looking at, again, diversity, equity, inclusion, and how am I allowing and making sure that that student know they belong here as well.
Thank you. Ms. Jan, 2 minutes.
I don't know much about the JESD DI initiatives, but walking in, seeing JF MLK, and being honored in front matches a lot of my own values. I have many plaques of his. DEI has been a part of who I am. Growing up in Brooklyn, and also as a professional, been part of a professional organization called Ascend for 20 years, Pan-Asian leadership organization. Throughout all the companies I work for, worked 5 years at Clorox, leading its Asian diversity, mentored under a gentleman called Irby Foster, who was a former president of NAACP, and really have learned to grow and appreciate what DEI has contributed to the fabric of this country. So I can tell you, it's core to who I am. Social justice is a part of my family's, one of the values that we believe in. Without going into details, representation matters. That is just fundamental of why I think hopefully all of us are here, is because we understand there's a need that just goes beyond that everyone can bring to the table to make all of us better. So that's one of the reasons why we love Daly City, is because it is so diverse, and our kids are actually named under two Supreme Court justices, Thurgood Marshall and William Brennan. So hopefully that kind of gives you some testament of how I kind of connect with DEI.
Thank you.
All right. So my question is, what do you believe are the fundamental purposes of public education, and what specific role do you see yourself playing as a board member in achieving those purposes? And who do we start with?
Mr. Bursiaga, when you're ready, 2 minutes.
I believe the fundamental purpose of public education is to prepare students for work or college, but to prepare them to be productive members of society, keep them out of trouble, keep them out of prison, keep them away from drugs, keep them from having children too young. And can you repeat the second part of the question? I'm sorry.
What specific role do you see yourself playing as a board member in achieving those purposes?
As a board member, I would see myself upholding the goals of the board, being responsible to the community, and reaching out to the community.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, 2 minutes.
So I would say supporting with student success. I would also say supporting with social emotional learning, and supporting students through that process. If I was to say what would I do as a board member with that, again, I'm supporting my superintendent, I'm supporting the teachers, the staff, and the union to see how they could continue to get the funding, get the support that is needed so that they could continue with those various different student success, those wraparound services, those various different tools that the student may need to continue to excel and achieve.
Ms. Jan? 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I'll echo some of the, the reasons why I think, we believe in I believe in public education really around building academic success, social success as an adult. But I think it goes beyond that in the fact that, it is to teach our students how to learn, in all their life pursuit. When I think about success, and I look at, people in the adult world, the mindset is what matters. I see people with a fixed mindset. I'm good at this. I'm not good at this. Versus a growth mindset. I'm not good at it yet. How do you get there? It's with great teachers, with great administration that understands that none of us have the story written. So to me, the pursuit of learning, the joy of learning, there's certainly the aspect of the love of community. Those are the purpose of which I believe public education can continue to support our children.
Thank you. Ms. Policarpio, 2 minutes.
For me, it's to give every kid a chance. They don't know until they get into school, and sometimes at some point there's a flip that switches, and sometimes they don't love school anymore. It's easy to love it when you're 4 and 5 years old, but it starts to get harder to love when things get difficult as you start to grow into who you are as a human being and learn that we don't all learn the same. We don't all operate the same. We don't all come from the same backgrounds. We don't all have the same upbringing, and so I think the role of a public school is to address all of that for each of the kids, and so none of these kids feel as though they are left out, that they are different. Luckily, we're in a time where we're more mindful of the differences that children have in the ways that they learn and the way that people teach. And so being able to make sure that, at least on the board, that we have the ability to address all of those. How? By making sure we're fiscally responsible, by making sure we're putting the children first, by making sure we're talking to members of the community, to the staff, to all the folks impacted, to ensure that public education is doing what it's meant to do, is to educate the kids that maybe aren't going to certain schools, charter schools, private schools, home schools, whatever it is. And again, I think the goal at the end of the day is to give them that opportunity. Some kids don't love speaking, and they grow up, and that ends up being something that's very important in life, no matter what your career path is. So I think being able to focus on those types of things as well, and make sure that these kids, at the end of the day, are upstanding members of the community and genuinely good people at heart.
Thank you. All right. We will now allow you to have a 1-minute closing statement if you should choose. You may, and then
Well, I just wanted to point out, I think you only asked one question.
that is correct. I
Yeah,
chose
that's
to
all.
only ask one.
Sorry.
No. Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate you keeping me in mind. All right. So I will reselect. Actually, I'm going to have my fellow board members, trustees, because I opened these so I know which ones they are. So I'm going to have each of them just select one, and then you may do a 1-minute closing statement. Trustee Ali, if you may choose the first name. It's okay. Thank you for being fair. All right, Mr. Yan, you have 1 minute for a closing statement.
Well, first off, I would like to thank the board for entertaining all of us. Actually, I think all the candidates actually learned so much more about our community, the people who want to lead here. So I'm actually strengthened by the fact that whoever we choose, I think we'll find a good way to move forward. I think you hit a lot of the points or asked a lot of the questions I want to share. Probably the only last thing I would probably mention is I would probably say one of the things that I don't think we talked a lot about is how we want to focus on all the people in our community. And with me, I think there are going to be a lot of tough decisions, and whether it's the administration, the teachers, the parents and the kids, the word kindness, is what my wife always kind of brings to my attention. You can always do it a certain way, but did you start with kindness? So, certainly focusing on the people is important. but to how you make the decisions, how you focus on making those decisions real to the people who are impacted. So that's something also that I would say, hopefully I can bring to the table.
Thank you. All right, and then now we will have Trustee Jordan, if you may choose a name from the receptacle.
At the heart of my interest joining the board, it's super simple. All of these kids deserve the hope and the opportunity to operate at their fullest potential regardless of where they come from and what their background is. Personally, I've seen the difference that strong schools and an active community has in the role of our future students, and I really want to be a part of making sure that I can bring that to the table for them. My professional experience and my volunteer roles as a PTO leader and as a Girl Scout co-leader, I know the value of engagement, of transparency, of trust, and of what it means to listen with empathy. It's an honor that I'd be able to bring that perspective to the Board of Trustees, so thank you for considering me in my candidacy. I promise to work together in service of our children, of our staff, and to all the families that live in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Trustee Roshba, could you choose one more name from the hat? Well, I guess that was a 50-50.
Thank you guys for your time. When I look at the goals of the Jefferson Elementary School District, see one of the main challenges is overcoming the chronic absenteeism, the low test scores, and disciplinary action is the need for increased family involvement and community outreach. As an active member of the community and parent, I feel I can be a great asset to this board in overcoming these obstacles. I would love to be a voice for those who are overlooked. As a longtime employee of a small sheet metal company, bring years of experience in managing customer relationships, completing projects, and staying within a budget. And I believe those skills can help this board.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, you have 1 minute.
So if I'm appointed, I would be ready as soon as I take that oath to get to the work and get to the learning and the action and get that done. I would come in as listening to learn, and that would be my motto as I try to learn from the budgets, how to better support that. In my day job, I do work with education leaders and their local school board trustees, so I already kind of have an insight of various different programs and grants to help support where the budget may not be able to support with. I'm passionate, I'm dedicated, I'm a community leader, and I'm ready to continue to help my community, and I hope I get that chance to sit with you all and let's do this together. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, yes, you may return to your seats now. Thank you very much. All right, trustees, we move on to item 8C, board member provisional appointment. Take any speaker cards. So we do have 3 speaker cards. Oh, we have more speaker cards. Is it on here, or is it this one? Superintendent McCulloch? Superintendent McCulloch? Am I reading off of this one or this one for the public comment? Just this one? Okay. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and, well, it is on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. We will display the 2-minute timer on the screen. If the timer ends, I will stop you if you go over. As a reminder, the board may not discuss or comment on items not listed on the agenda or expressed during communication public comment. We want you to know that we will hear you and will ask our superintendent to follow up on your comments. Please make sure you leave your name and contact information with Ms. Covere so our administration knows how to reach you. All right, our first public comment is Chris Sturkin, Redwood City Council Member, County LGBTQIA plus Commissioner. You have 2
Good evening,
minutes.
Board of Trustees. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I'm here to ask you to appoint Dana Johnson for the vacant position. I'm speaking as an individual this evening as well. I've known some of you for quite some time, President Tsuchisaka since high school, Vice President Jordan since your interview for the San Mateo County Stonewall Democratic Club's endorsement. Thank you for your support. And I also worked with the former Superintendent Vidales to promote the Heart of San Mateo County's first-time homebuyer program to support staff and faculty with finding affordable homes here in the district. And I know some of the former trustees like Manufo, Clayton Koo, Maybell Manio. But anyway, I am really very much invested in your success and would like to urge you to appoint Dana Johnson. It's been a pleasure serving alongside Dana over the past 5 years on the LGBTQI+ Commission for the County of San Mateo. And Dana is well known as a trainer, arguably an educator, leading SOGI training, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression trainings across the country. And they have also spearheaded planning of safe spaces for students and families, especially the San Mateo County Pride celebration every year for the past several years for LGBTQI+ students and their families. And I work alongside Dana in Santa Clara County as well, in the same orbit, nonprofit sector. They at the Bill Wilson Center and I at the Sacred Heart Community Service. So they offer direct service to the community, families in need, just like I do, and as the director of a family shelter. And direct service lens is really quite rare in public service and is an essential lens to have when serving families and children. So with that, Dana is a thoughtful, dedicated, committed, and always very well prepared leader. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Andy Lai, JUHSD Board of Trustees.
All right, there we go. Dana is an incredibly thoughtful person who is an amazing community leader. As you know, being a school board member requires dedication and commitment, and Dana has this in spades. Dana's dedication to the larger San Mateo County community through Coast Pride, working to support queer students, and the San Mateo Pride celebration events are just a couple of examples of their love of this community. But what I find most compelling and interesting about Dana's dedication and service is that it's never about Dana. Their service is one rooted in a profound humility, which is necessary to do the work to support our students. Dana's work isn't about them, it's always about who they serve. And it is this quality which makes Dana Johnson an excellent candidate for this board. I strongly recommend Dana for the JESD board. Thank you.
All right, next. Oh, there you go. Next, we have Pamela DiGiovanni, Daly City Council member.
Good evening, board members, president, teachers, and AFT, and those in the room. I'm here tonight to support Dana Johnson. I, too, have benefited from being able to work with her, with Dana in the community, and seeing for myself the commitment, the dedication, the heart. And I know that's what it takes for JESD. JESD, as you know, is the heart of our community. Many of you know from my attendance in a lot of the different venues supporting the school district, that is important to have someone that reflects the dedication. And you heard Dana say over and over again about wraparound services. And wraparound services is key. And the struggles are key. When you have lived a struggle, you have the empathy and you have the know-it-all and have overcome things. You know what it takes. And with humility and that, what it takes, and the commitment to our community outside, serving so humbly in many different capacities, whether it's the Pride Parade or other things in our community, they show up. They show up with the food. They show up everywhere with Pitt, anywhere and everywhere. I can be anywhere. And Dana, excuse me, my throat tonight, but is there. So Dana Johnson is there for us. Dana will be there for the students, and Dana will be there always. And we'll be working collaboratively with all of you, and I think that's key when you're on a board. You really, really need that. It's a big commitment, as I know by city council, that budget is important. Working together with the teachers, the students, the principals, it's a big job. But I know that Dana Johnson is the one that can better serve our community with experience, commitment, and heart. Thank you very much.
All right, we have 2 more speakers. All right, so next we have Victoria Magbalong, or Magbalong, I hope I pronounced that correctly, council member.
Hello, thank you. Okay, it's on.
Sorry, correction, a community member.
Oh, yes. Oh, what did you say?
I said council member. I
Oh,
meant
yes,
to say
no,
community
not
member.
council member. No,
We all
I'm,
make mistakes,
I'm
thank
a
you.
community member, and I know Dana because we've both been active in the community for some years. I'm a recently graduated JESD and JUHSD parent, and I will always care deeply about our students and believe in the value of our public schools. My personal experience with Dana is that they are a kind, thoughtful, considerate, and personable person with a proven track record of going above and beyond for our community. I wasn't at all surprised to hear that they were interested in serving on the JESD school board, and I'm happy to stand up here to support them. Besides the integrity that I've seen demonstrated by Dana, I believe that they have an understanding of the roles and responsibilities, but also the limitations of a school board trustee. I have no doubt that Dana will bring valuable input and insight to the board, and that they have the people skills that are necessary to interact not only with the other trustees, but also with the families and employees of JESD. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak and support Dana.
All right, and our last speaker card, Kalima Salah, I can't read it. Yeah. Salahuddin, thank you.
It's Salahuddin.
Thank you for correcting me.
Hi, my name is Kalima Salahuddin. I'm a former trustee with the Jefferson Union High School District, and I'm also Dana's partner, so I'm biased. But not for the reasons you think. I'm biased because, we work in the same space when we're working from home, and I've heard Dana do intake with homeless youth over Zoom. And the empathy that they show and the compassion that they show these students in their lowest moments. I'm biased because, I have seen and been in the same spaces when former folks that Dana worked with when they were part of juvenile justice, which they worked for over a decade. Again, we're talking about youth in some of their lowest moments. Run up to Dana when they see them. Johnson, so excited. And to talk to them about where they are in life and how much it meant to them that Dana was still able to see their humanity when a lot of people just see these children as inmates. I'm biased because every day I work and I'm able to work and observe Dana's compassion, their endless work ethic, and how hard they work. And sometimes I'm like, baby, come home because you're still at the family shelter. But they're off to Target, spending their own money buying shoes, getting the things that these families need. And I hear over the phone how thankful they are when they're leaving the shelter and how they're going to miss Dana. So this is somebody that you want to have on the board with you. This is somebody that you want that empathy, you want that compassion, you want somebody who's going to be able to work with you as a teammate and who's humble. And so I ask that you appoint Dana to your board. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so we are going to, so any board member comments? Do we want to take a preliminary vote, or do you want to do the comments first? Oh, yeah, well, first of all, yeah. And we'll start on my right this time.
My comment is that I want to thank the 4 individuals who ran and who were interviewed tonight. I think you are all exceptional candidates. I really enjoyed learning a lot about all of you, and I think that you all bring very valuable experience to our community and to our schools. So whatever is decided tonight, I would urge you to please stay involved. We need you with the JESD. And just thanks again for being very authentic and open about your experiences and for your interest and commitment to our schools.
I echo my fellow board trustee sentiments. I think it takes a lot of guts to come up here and speak to a board about your values. That's a lot of vulnerability. It shows that you care, and so regardless of what happens tonight with our decision, I am so proud to be in this community with you all, and I hope to see you all regardless, again, of the outcome at some of the events at our schools, because at the end of the day, we need you to continue the advocacy that you're doing, whether it be on this board or on the ground within our community.
So I want to echo my fellow board trustee sentiments. I also want to add on that this is not going to be an easy decision. You know, we have 4 really amazing candidates who have even acknowledged each other and how amazing that they are. And we really want to say that we thank you all for being vulnerable, coming out here not only to speak to us, but also to speak in front of the entire public that is watching, in front of the entire public that is here. That is not an easy skill to do. So we just want to acknowledge that and say thank you for coming out here, and thank you for all the service that you do for our community, because just by being here, you are representing our community. So we are all very thankful for that. All right, and with that, we are going to take a preliminary, oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, this is the awkward part. Everything that happens is public, and so whatever steps happen next, any kind of vote you do make, I share publicly who you voted for. So I just want to make sure that you know and the public knows that this is a very transparent process, and it is out in the open and discussed in front of everybody.
Thank you for that reminder, Superintendent McCulloch. All right, if everyone can open up their folders and pull out one of the yellow sheets, I'm going to slightly amend the process. I'm going to say that actually I want us to choose our top 2 names that you recommend, and then we can go into discussion, and then we'll have a second vote. So right now, board members, please select your top, so circle your top 2 names, keep them secret, and we are going to hand them over to Superintendent McCulloch to read aloud. And note your name is on top of it.
It doesn't need to be secret, because I will be reading them aloud in a moment. So.
I think it's more to just not show each other, so yeah, anyway, that's true. Please fold them into eighths so it's harder for Superintendent McCulloch to read.
I'll just read them here. Trustee Rashba voted for Eileen Policarpio. I always want to say an R there. Policarpio, forgive me, and James Yen. Trustee Andrea Jordan voted for Dana Johnson and Eileen Policarpio. Say it slowly. President Suji Saka voted for Dana Johnson and Eileen Policarpio. I'll get it eventually. And Trustee Ali voted for Dana Johnson and Eileen Policarpio. So we have tallying 3 votes for Dana Johnson, 4 votes for Eileen Policarpio, and 1 vote for James Yen. So at this point, someone can make a motion for one of the candidates, and if there's a second, and then it's a roll call vote, or you can have discussion. It's up to you.
All right, before we go to that, does anyone have any comments, or does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a comment. I don't want to say anything that has already been said, so let me be strategic. I guess I'll just say I'm happy that we had so many qualified and passionate candidates tonight. And, as you heard, we had a lot of public support for one candidate. And the reason why I also added Ms. Policarpio, I feel like your answers tonight were not scripted, that you talked from the heart. And I really feel that you would add a good element to our board. And but I also want to say that this board does care a lot about what the community feels. And we make our decisions based on what's in the best interest of the students. And so this is going to be difficult.
I echo, first of all, Trustee Sujisaka's comment that this is an extremely difficult decision in that, again, these are 4 very well-qualified candidates who would bring different perspectives and value to our board. So it's something that is really tough to do. I support Trustee Ali's comments. I do recognize the community support brought here by candidate Johnson and agree that candidate Policarpio spoke from the heart. I suppose what swayed me in my voting is PTO leadership, which I do believe is the best training preparation for this role. I think that demonstrates tremendous commitment, skin in the game, if you will. So that's really what informed my vote, although very difficult decision, and I think we'd be fortunate to have any of the 4 candidates tonight on our board. Thank you.
I mean, I don't know what else is left to be said. However, I will say the reason why I voted the way I did is I see a lot of myself actually in Ms. Policarpio. Some of the examples that you gave were exactly what I had experienced. When I started on the board, I had a daughter in TK, and I don't know if you've listened to any of the board meetings, but I explicitly have said, she had experienced racism at our schools, and I reached out to the superintendent, and I was like, what is going on? And I reached out to Trustee Ali, and I was like, there has to be something to be done, because if my child is going through it, the others are probably going through the same thing. And it's heartbreaking as a parent to watch your children struggle or deal with something that they can't change, like the color of their skin or their nationality or ethnicity. And again, you did speak from the heart, and I see that you could bring something really great to the table. And I obviously voted for Ms. Johnson because, not just because of the community support, but the fact that she has so much experience within public education with children. She basically already has. Apologies. They have huge experience already with what we already do, and so it would be honestly a shoo-in. We wouldn't have to do much education, at least, is what I see, and that was one of the huge reasons why they were one of my selections from a voting standpoint.
Yeah, as I said before, this decision is not easy. What it comes down to me is our community as a JESD school district. Representation is number 1. So how are we representing our school district? How do we as the board reflect to you all in the community? And so that's the number 1 thing I see. And again, we read through the resumes. We have all your resumes. We saw your letters. We read through those. We heard your answers. And those were all very compelling arguments. And at the end of the day, we are all elected by the Daly City community, and we need to do the decision that's going to be best for our community and represents our community. That's all I have to say. So if there are any other comments left or discussion, I will hear them. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
Guess I'll make hard decisions. First, I'm going to motion to appoint Ms. Policarpio to the board.
I second that nomination.
There's a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Coveray?
Aye.
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 Aye. The vote is unanimous. Congratulations, Ms. Policarpio.
So we'll now need to do the oath of office because you will take a seat right away. Might need you to hold your microphone. So, right hand. I've been practicing your name in my head. I, Eileen Policarpio,
I, Eileen Policarpio,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of California,
and the Constitution of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you'll take that seat right there.
All right. With that, we move to item 9, governance team member comments, reports, future agenda items, and board meeting reflection. Should I pick on our, no, I'm just kidding. I will start on my right.
Yeah, I feel drained as that was a extremely difficult decision, as stated, and I want to thank my fellow trustees for their candor and their thoughtfulness in making what is an important decision. Not lightly, in fact, very deliberately and considerately. And I want to welcome Ms. Policarpio to the board. Thank you.
I want to apologize again for using the wrong pronouns when referring to you. I am not without fault, and I am working on it. I am an advocate and a supporter of the LGBTQI community, and I want to make sure that I am not representing inappropriately. And so I just want to say again, I apologize for not using the right pronouns during my comments earlier. I feel very emotional, honestly, after being the one to set forth the motion, because as we said, every single person that interviewed today would have been a great candidate, and obviously it was very obvious that we were divided in a few things, but I think we're not divided in the fact that we are here to support our district and our community and our students, and we want what's best for our district, and I am really grateful that we came to a consensus, and congratulations, Ms. Policarpio, on your appointment.
Oh, you got none? Okay, well then, I'll go before you so that you can have the last, unless you would like to go next. Okay. So again, just to repeat, this was an extremely hard process for all of us. For any of you who've ever done hiring, which I know most of you in this room have, it is extremely hard when you have multiple candidates who all fit those requirements, all fit those needs. Most of us have hired teachers in this room. That is extremely hard. Paraprofessionals, the people who support our kids, we have to choose between who is going to be working directly with our kids and who isn't. And that's really hard because we would love to give everyone a job. Unfortunately, there are only so many positions. So thank you for honoring our system and how we have to do things very publicly, but we were welcome to do this in front of our community because we also trust you all. You all elected us to be up here and make an appropriate decision for our community. So ultimately, thank you for trusting us. And so we need to thank you. So thank you for everyone who's also tuning in as well. All right, and then any closing statements you'd like to make? Oh, and congratulations.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the Board of Trustees for giving me this honor and this privilege. To the rest of the candidates, that was scary. And I mean, you just learn so much from hearing from everybody else too. So to just be in company with people who care just as much, very clearly that we wouldn't put ourselves in these situations if we didn't really love and want to put the kids first. And so I'm honored to have sat alongside people who really just care, because at the end of the day, we're here for one reason, and that reason is to make sure that the kids in our district are receiving the time, the attention, and the care that they need. And so thank you for trusting me. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to helping make a difference in our community.
The word trust is in the word trustee. Anyway, I will adjourn this meeting.
Wait, before you do, may I make one comment? Before you blow
Yes, you
your
may.
bubbles. I just also want to congratulate the new trustee, Policarpio, and I want to thank all of our candidates. I appreciate your dedication to our district, and I think, there are other opportunities to get involved, and we appreciate you, and some of you are already well involved, and so I just want to thank you for your commitment to JESD, and if the board could stick around afterwards, we'd like to do a photo as well, so just to remind you of that. But I want to thank everyone for being here tonight and supporting the process, and thank you to the board. It's a difficult process. It's an awkward, uncomfortable process, but I want to thank you for your commitment to the board and making sure that you were very thorough with your process. Thank you.
Now we will adjourn the meeting at 8:34 with bubbles. Oh, stay seated, stay seated, stay seated. They're gonna do a photo. All right, everybody, face up there, please.